Welcome to session 6 of the RASTAFARI Promise Key Seminary. In this powerful session, we journey deep into the liberation of the African mind and consciousness, breaking the chains of mental slavery and reclaiming our divine identity as a true ancient Israelite. This is a call to awakening, to remember, and to rise as a people, chosen not by man but by the Most High. Let the truth set us free as we elevate in spirit, wisdom, and understanding.
And I'm here once again to present you with the Rastafari Promise Key session number 6. But as usual, I have to go into certain preliminaries and before I really can step off into the session. First, I would like to shout out to say, well, basically, I have a virgin in New York and hear me express my feelings to open up a recording studio. And basically gave me a surprise call the other day without making me any type of promises or anything. And him send me down in purchase and they are on their way down a computer-based, laptop-based recording studio. Basically purchased me a laptop where me can do recording upon. Him purchased me the interface, the wires, the headphone, both plug-in and over-the-ears headphone, and some batteries. I think the batteries them go with the earphone. So basically him setting me up with a studio. And the only thing I'm missing right now that I have to try to get my hands on is a keyboard. So anyone who listening to this presentation, if you have a keyboard where them can give me access to, or where we can purchase from them at a reasonable price, as long as it is in good condition. But it is really a joy and a blessing and a pleasure to know that this dream of mine, like all the other dreams them that I have and had, that I walked out of the Babylonian prison system with last year, a lot of them has come to fruition. A lot of them has borne fruit. And this weird one where my virgin purchased me the thing them to set up a studio is of tremendous help and assistance to me. And I have to give thanks to that. You know, basically, I always have the name. Everything when me do, I already know, come up under Forged by Time Limited. Everything when me establish, the book when me write, the autobiography. And again, thanks Virgin and Sister for those who have given me support with the Forged by Time autobiography that I published. Basically, I tell my life story from within the context of my father's imprisonment in the United States. Thanks to the support and thanks to all future support that me always ask the I them to give I. But this studio thing is really a good milestone in my man journey where I look forward to. And I always have this thing where I like everything come up under Forged by Time, but this specific entity will be known as Nanny of the Maroons Recording Studio. And the reason why I name it Nanny of the Maroons Recording Studio is basically Nanny was a leader for I man ancestors, that side of my ancestors who come out of Motown, the Maroon town by the name of Motown that is established up in the hills of Portland. And not only to pay tribute to that line of my ancestors, but to pay tribute also to that great heroine, Nanny of the Maroons. And I kind of notice, with all the studios them were established in Jamaica, I don't really hear any of them dedicated a set of developmental music or even for name a studio after that lineage of our ancestors. So if there is any that I don't know about, I apologize. And if there is actually none, then I'm really joyous and give thanks in knowing that I can set that. President, you understand? Also looking forward to produce musicians and singers and players of instruments who can put out a quality type of music that can help elevate the name Nanny of the Maroons International Studio. That don't mean we're going to turn back anyone who have their own dream where we can help fulfill them dream. Whichever way them write song, whether we approve of the song or does not approve of it, We're not going to stifle down the one and fight down the one because we don't agree with them lyrics. Or don't agree with the way how them sing. Or don't agree with the way how them DJ. We're not going to do none of that. We're going to free up the youth them and do what they want to do. But in the process of doing what you want to do, we are going to teach and educate at the same time. Right on the property, right on the where the studio will be established. And don't know, the studio will be established in Western Kingston, which part I'm on. Base. Now, another thing I would like to touch upon is that the organization that has been set up, Forged by Time Limited, and this is an organization to basically cater to those who were deported and who will be deported and who are being deported from the three major countries, United States, Canada, and England. But at the same time, this organization charter will be towards catering to those who are deported from regardless of which part of the world Jamaicans get deported and sent back home. We have set up an entity to accommodate them. We basically have the business plan draft up. We are already incorporated. We have already established the bank account. We have already established the electronic tax system. And we depend on the way. We just have formalized the last set of papers now, which we hope will be formalized within 2 weeks' time. And then we are up and rolling where we are going to approach government entities, both local and international, NGO, organizations, businesses, institutions, all these places to give us grants to move this dream and aspiration forward. So a lot of things we involve in. I mean, as a man, I love to put my hand in many things, just to see which one stick and which one may not stick. But we are going at this thing here with the vision that all of them are going to stick. But we don't know our realities. It does not necessarily mean because we desire all of them to stick, mean that all of them going to stick. So I just want to get that out of the way, right? Then you have the Maroons International Recording Studio. So we are establishing it. You understand? So we are going to look for support from people. We're going to need to gather up experienced engineers. We're going to need to gather up singers, players, and everybody who can play a part, who want to play a part, both in a collective development of the community and the region and everything, and also their own personal development. So we are look forward to participate and cater to that little corner of the thing. Now, like the Virgin, them always know, one of the things we always start off with when we're dealing with the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary are the chants. And because the chants are of such a length sometimes, we are not able to conclude one given chant sometime during a particular session. So what we will basically do, will continue from where we left off at the last chant. Where we left off at the last chant, and basically give a brief explanation and try to just give sufficient where we give some and then we can move on to the main lesson, which is basically freeing the mind, freeing the brain, and moving humanity to a higher level consciousness, moving members of the African race to a higher level of consciousness, where them can basically take hold of themselves, take hold of ourselves, take hold of our destiny, take hold of our future. Because we know nowhere in the world as the dumb has ever led the wise. At least not for too long. So the chant that we had started at the last session, number 5, but did not conclude. The session which was titled, A Chant to the Mind in Entering Upon Its Blackness and Coming Out of It. The beautiful hidden land of the world of the mind, the power of the triunity. Now when we say a chant to the mind in entering upon the blackness and coming out of it, the mind is a place where all struggles that take place upon the face of the earth begins first and foremost to struggle for control of other people's mind, to take control of the minds of others. And one of the greatest tribulations we as African people has ever been through upon the face of this creation is that once we had encountered the Babylonians, the Germans, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the French, the Netherlanders, and all these other European people, the first thing that they institute is to institute a process and a development to capture the mind of the Africans. Because the mind is a thing where you can wipe clean, you know. And then it's like a tape recorder. You can tape on the information that you want to tape on that mind. And if you tape on a certain type of information where you pre-code this individual and predispose this individual to think and act in a way not to serve his or herself, but to serve the outer, to serve the person who program him, then that's mental death. That's worse than mental slavery. That's mental death. Because you no longer exist, because the existence of all human beings is the existence of the freedom within their own mind. And a mind is free when it remains programmed to that which comes out of the individual's experience and liberty for centuries and millenniums. But you look at us as a people. We have foreign names. We live in countries with foreign names. We walk on streets named after foreigners. We have a menu and a food item that's based upon foreign dietary and nutritional. See, everything about the majority of us is foreign. Therefore, those of us who has become encapsulated within these everything foreign, we are dead to the self. We are dead to who we were meant to be. And we know are existing in a state of predisposed service to that of others. We think in their favor. We act in their favor. We countenance in their favor. Yet we believe we are alive. When that is impossible for you and me to have our mentality, to have our mind programmed, filled with concept to serve foreigners and yet believe that we serve ourselves. So a chant to the mind in entering upon its blackness and coming out of it is a chant to glorifying a free mind. It is a chant to glorifying a mind that acts within its own behalf and the behalf of its collective community, and the behalf of the nation, and behalf of the African worldwide progenitors. That is what we give in a chant to. The beautiful hidden land of the world of the mind, the power of the triunity. You see the mind? And that's how everything exists, you know. Everything exists up and so before it exists in the 3 dimensions that we are talking about. Before a man can go out and say, "Well, create a car, create a house, create certain menu, create whatever," him first have to create it up and so. And then him pattern the material in the material world after that which he or she has already created in the mind. So the world exists in the mind. It exists nowhere else. And when we speak about the world, we're speaking about the liberty that we are bound to experience while we are moved through that creation, yeah. The way we act, the way we think, or we eat, or we dress, or we dance, or we define work, or we define friendship, or we define any and everything is a creation of the mind. So that is where this chant is to. So the part of the chant that we didn't get to the last time, it had to do with development of the mind. So I'll just continue and read about 4 paragraphs, and then we can conclude the reading of the chants and go on to the basic text manifested in the light. The mind commanded the personification of itself. The divine intelligence of wisdom, knowledge, overstanding, to prove true to the words of the power of mental resurrection before his enemies. What was commanded for the power of resurrection, the power of the triunity, let that be done for me by the power of divine intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, and overstanding. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on a daily basis. When it travels its course on the day of dressing and rising of the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection, Open the hidden water, spring from the ablution of the righteous, whose heart of conscience is at rest. I unbolt the door of the most holy shrine in Rastafari, that part of mine which takes the spiritual human being from the land of the mentally dead to the land of the mentally living. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on a daily basis, as the protector and defender of the left shoulder of the power of resurrection, the dweller in the house of Jah Rastafari. I enter in among and I come forth from the flames, genius on the day of the destruction of the devil's conception in the great battle of the mind waged between righteousness, truth, and justice on one hand, and evil and falsehood and injustice on the other hand. You see, in our daily traverse of this creation, yeah, we battle within ourselves every day between what we culturally define as good and bad, you know. Because you cannot have a contextualized and a conceptualized idea of good without having one of bad. And that duality within everything within our existence is a duality that helps strengthens us if we do not succumb to the negative side of existence. Negative in the sense that we try to identify and stay away from certain things that decreases the individual humanity, that decreases the collective consciousness of a collective group of people. So every day we battle within our heavens those bad ideas versus those good ideas that we see that will strengthen our individuality and strengthen our collective community. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on its daily course, on the day of festival of the power of resurrection, at the making of offerings and oblation, namely on the festival which is celebrated on the 6th day of the month, and on the day of the festival when offerings are made to the great genius of the mind. I am the priest of my mind in my mind, the dweller in the house of the power of resurrection. I exalt him that is upon the light place of the country, the power of the triunity, the power of divine resurrection. So with that, basically I said that we're giving chance. And remember what we always say in all of our lessons. When we give chance, we are not giving chance to any external entity. We are not giving any chance to any fictitious being existing in the sky. We are giving chance to within ourselves, in order that our body chemistry can reconfigure itself in order to change how the mind think and how the mind look at something so that we can battle and overcome it. So we're talking about changing the chemical composition within our own structure. Just like the examples that when we give, when a man go to dance and hear certain music and it hype him up and it make him want to go bust him gun, or it make him want to go cook some food, or it make you want to go lock in a corner with a woman. Those are what induces that type of feeling, what induces that type of emotion is the chemical change that takes place internally that was triggered from externally. Listening of the music, or you're eating some food and it just change your own vibes and put you in a different state of mind to take on certain challenges. So that is what we're basically talking about. That is what the chants are for, is to get you within the proper state of mind. You understand? A lot of time there's a mechanism that helps facilitate how we should act and think in certain circumstances in order that we may overcome those obstacles or those protagonists or whatever exists within our path. So that's what them chant for. Now, when we go to this manifested in the light ancient order of Rastafari, and you don't know that this Rastafari Promise Key Seminary is exclusively about freeing up the mind. It is exclusively about uplifting the collective consciousness of the Africans worldwide throughout the face of the earth. And that's the reality that we are facing and dealing with. Now, the last session that we covered, we did not get to complete the lesson that we covered. But it was under what we call the I am. What does it mean for someone to come within the consciousness of the I am? And we have covered a couple chapters of that. I think we have only reached up to it. I've left it on the 2 last paragraph. So I'm going to touch upon the 2 last paragraph. And then we can move on. We are now dealing with creative force. The ability for a people to be creative comes from a special, particular place within the cranium, within the mind, or some would say within the brain, but I would rather limit it to within the mind. Creative force is the 6th of the 7 columns of RASTAFARI, which abideth within the mind of the spiritual human being as the foundation of that divine wisdom which deals with the creation of forces which evolve from within in our constituency at the power unto itself. For example, water is of a particular power, materially and symbolically, yet it also has a force unto itself, which is to get around, over, and under all obstacles. The spiritual human being is endowed with the power of creative force to deal with any unfamiliar situation. May I read that one more time before me explain. Creative force is the 6th of the 7 columns of RASTAFARI. Now when we speak of the 7 column of RASTAFARI, right? Just to give a reminder for those who, even though we have the lessons that we can go to, we spoke of different columns, different concepts that uphold the intellectuality and the academic involvement of the brain. The columns, you see, just like when you build a building and you need certain columns to uphold it. In order for a human being to function at its most optimal level, the human mind needs academic and intellectual columns to roll up the belief system to which he or she believes. You know, just when you just have laissez-faire, when you just have ideas in your brain, and ideas and thoughts to change the whole world, if it not responds certain column, if it not responds certain principle, if it not responds certain doctrine, it can't stand. Just like a building. A building is an example of how the mind has to construct and edit and keep ideas. And that's what that is about. So the creative force, the 6 of the 7 columns of RASTAFARI within and RASTAFARI, which abideth within the mind of the spiritual human being as the foundation of that divine wisdom which deals with the creation of forces which evolve from within. Your creative endeavor, your creative forces, your creative power lays within you. You have the ability to create. You have the ability to invent. You have the ability to ask yourself, why, Father God, am I this one with this type of skill in this time, in this particular place? You see? So when we speak of tranquility in terms of creative power, when a person knows that them have the ability to create on a certain level, them not go out there and fight every day, you know. When we say fight, me I talk about them not go out there and struggle against others to see if others believe in them or not. Them not care about that. What them actually care about is that they are doing the right thing to uplift the individual, uplift the community, uplift the region, uplift the nation, uplift humanity. So that's what that one is about. Now the other one we're going to deal with is the germ of life. And the title is Humanity Must Pass Through Death and into the realm of life and light, and then on to a being of divine light who conquers all forms of death, and to be a master of being born again. Now there's this Christian tradition in Jamaica that them call born again Christian. But to be born again simply means a different application to the brain other than what presently occupies it. So when you change how you think, the whole world change. How you deal with people change. What you believe you can get in the future change. How you're going to approach them changes. That is what it basically is. So I'm going to read it. Within the mind of the spiritual human being is to be found the germ of all life. And there lies all existence within the grasp of the divine living spiritual human being. This germ of life is comparable to a flowing crystal clear water rich with the nutrient of life, which are the 7 columns of the divine RASTAFARI, Jah Almighty, which reside in the spiritual human being. Again, within the mind of the spiritual human being is to be found the germ of all life. All existence exists within the mind. If you can think it, you can manifest it. If you think in terms of attaining true liberation upon the face of this earth, my African people, you can and you will attain true liberation. It's all about battling for control of the mind. That is why when you go to school, and you go to Babylonian school, where Babylon is indoctrinating to the ways and thinking of Babylon. When you have become fully indoctrinated in the ways and thinking of Babylon, you cannot use that to free yourself from Babylon. Because Babylon is not imparting any knowledge to the oppressed and conquered that them can use to liberate themselves. You can use what Babylon teach you to get a better life in Babylon. Live in a bigger house, drive a better car, can afford all the jewelry, can eat what Babylon call good food. You can do all that. But it still cannot free you. Because you have no control over the germ of life that exists deep within your own very existence within your mind. This germ of life is a spark of fire. A fire which once it is kindled must be kept ablaze in order that it may become sustainable in life. Once you get a minutiae amount of knowledge while you are in a mental dead state, you must keep that flame going. Just like when you start a little low fire and you're trying to get the fire to blaze higher and blaze bigger and blaze hotter, you have to feed it with twigs. You have to feed it with bush. You have to put little gasoline. You do whatever you have to do. Some people go and blow up on it in order to give it more oxygen so it can become more combustible. It's the same thing with knowledge. When you attain a little knowledge, do not rest on that law and say, okay, you have little knowledge, so now you are an intelligent being. There is no end to gathering intelligence. So that little much that there, you have to feed it with more knowledge, feed it with more knowledge, feed it with more knowledge. And the more you feed that little knowledge with more knowledge, is the more you get empowered, is the more you feel empowered, is the more you are better equipped to challenge those protagonists that stand in your way individually and collectively. The germ of life is most comparable to the crystal clear running water in terms of our life form which it contemplates. Must be mentally seen with clarity and crystal clearness. One's ideas and thought must be of such clear thoughts, ideas and vision that it must sparkle in conception with overwhelming amazement. Once you start gather information and start to analyze that information critically and learn how to put different conceptual ideas together from different perspectives to solve different, you will feel empowered. You will get a new vision in life. You will see how to approach things, how to determine the outcome as things come at you, because there are others trying to determine the outcome. But in order for the germ of life to come alive with clarity and clear flowing overstanding, the germ of life must be sparked alive, must be triggered into action, and all things of life is made to be alive and is sustaining life through perpetual energy. And this divine energy of our life form is the purification fire of infinite and eternal existence. Man and woman must strive to come to a oneness with knowledge, with divine intelligence. And once you make your life become a part of the germ of life, and don't make your life, so-called life, exist outside of this divine knowledge and intelligence, then you become a supreme human being. And if you notice, you go anywhere upon the African continent, and you go anywhere in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, in Europe, or anywhere, wherever you find us is where you find black people existing under different mental state that serve the purpose of those who colonize and control us. We have no centralized cadre that represent the full consciousness of that which we strive to attain. How many of us control the curriculum and the curricula that educates or seeks to educate our children on a daily basis? When we know that the knowledge or the so-called knowledge that's being imparted to them is a knowledge of death. It is a knowledge to colonize them further and deeper so that they can be more easily be exploited and oppressed. With all these college degrees, and these are the blacks with millions and billions, we're still unable to free ourselves because the mind is not free. It's not a free mind. Look at the struggle that's taking place right now with China and the United States. The Chinese are people who are coming into their own being, are people who 50, 60, 70 years ago was sundered and rendered, dispersed by all European nations that went up into China, robbed them just like they robbed the Africans, subdue them like they subdue the Africans, miseducate them as they miseducate the Africans. Yet look at the Chinese today and the nation of China, where the United States bully president is trying to force them into submission. Europe's agenda is to subdue and force the Chinese nation and people to submit to the will of Europe, because Europeans do not want to get off the pinnacle on which they sit for the last 2,500 years ruling the world. Let China be our lesson. Look at the people who are taking possession of their own collective consciousness. Look at the people who understand the germ of life and that which is empowered them. Look at how they are talking back to the Babylonians, something they could not have done 50 years ago. You are seeing an awakened people. And at the same time, you are looking at your own potential future. I talk directly now to people of the African race and of the African diaspora. Look at the rise of China in our time, and you can see your own rise if you will only grasp it and take hold of it by the hand. But getting up every day and criticizing European, or criticizing the Chinese, or criticizing the Arabs, or criticizing, all those criticisms may be legitimate, but if you are not using that criticism to empower and advance your own collective conscious advancement, you're wasting time. You're just blowing breath. You're blowing a breath that has no life in it. Talking uselessness every day of your life. This infinite and eternal fire is anything which triggers an idea. And once the idea is triggered, it must be fueled by thoughts which are necessary in order to keep the idea ablaze and live. So once you and I can generate a fire idea. Once we can generate a concept and we see the viability of that concept, that it has potential, then we have to keep feeding it with new knowledge, keep doing research. And I said it in other lessons before, the Rastafari movement must reach the point where daily studies and daily contemplation must become one of the pillars of the movement. This nonsensical idea that when you believe certain things and act a certain way, that is what makes you a Rastafari. That is nonsensical. That is stupidity. Rastafari must be a thing that you constantly strive after through the seeking of knowledge, the seeking of wisdom, the seeking of understanding. And there must be no point in the Rastafari movement where you can get up and talk about you have reached that pinnacle. Because it would have meant that you have exhausted eternal intelligence and eternal knowledge and eternal understanding, which you cannot exhaust. You will never exhaust it. So Rastafari must be a perpetual mental revolution. The getting up every day and using all of your free time for seek out knowledge, for seek out intelligence. Yeah, I know you have to get up and work. I know you have to provide and pay for your bills and provide for your family and give. But whatever leisure times you have, whatever free time you find upon your hand, grab a book. Go out and do some simple research. Experiment with things where you live. But seek knowledge on a daily basis where if you get up one morning and for whatever reason you can't go out to go seek knowledge, you must feel a sense of failure. You must say to yourself, boy, look how I waste the whole day. That is how much you must imbue in yourself the seeking of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which is the germ of life. And when you seek out them things, them spark ideas in your brain. And when it spark ideas in your brain, then you must feed it with knowledge. You must do investigative knowledge. You must use research knowledge. If you say, oh, you can expand this idea. Notice, if you do a breakdown analysis of successful people in the world, the people who is a pinnacle in them society are people who establish things based upon ideas that them generate in their own mind, you know. People will get up every day and work, and I'm a millionaire, and I'm a billionaire, and I'm a trillionaire. It is people who generate ideas, people who can develop new concepts, new talk, and then use material things and make it manifest. Then you distinguish yourself from those who just get up every day and work. And there's nothing against me. I have nothing against people who get up every day and work. But me say, get up every day and work. You have no leisure time to go out there and invent things, to create things, to contemplate new ideas, so you can give new direction to your people in our daily struggle through the face of the earth. How can we be over almost 2 billion black people upon the face of the earth, and you have 500 million people in Europe who oppress us? That shows it's not a number game. It's not a number game upon that level. It's who can generate ideas, divine empowered intelligence, for maneuver yourself and the materials under your control to carry you where you want to go. There's a time when 500 or 300 Europeans have the whole world pan lock, have the whole earth pan lock with freedom world. So we know say no number do that game. I mean, I say numbers don't play a part in a certain demographic ideas. But it's all about the power of the brain. You can generate ideas and your willingness to go out there and die and to kill for that which you know will preserve the existence of yourself and your people. This is not a joke game. You think the struggle we are going between Donald Trump and America and China is a child game? These are people who are fighting for a preeminent position within the world. Europeans has been dominating the political and economic life of this earth with their world for over 2,500 years. And it is just now they have felt threatened to the point where they are going to eventually want to go to war with China, believing that if they cannot smash them through ideas, they're going to smash them through physical war. Notice anytime a country and a people get attacked, they always destroy their industrial base, destroy their productive base, kill and maim and mutilate the intelligence within that society. That is not no fluke. This thing is real. It is a real struggle. It is a real existential struggle. You don't notice what they when America attacked China with all this tariff, all the Chinese people rally around them nation and them government and them people because them know it is an existential struggle being waged against them, not by just America, by all of Europe. By all of Europe because they want to retain the preeminent position upon the face of the earth. And that is how people are trying to position themselves. The other day, Rubio, the Secretary of State for America, come to Jamaica and trying to lecture the Jamaican government upon good governance, upon justice, upon fairness, when has any set of European people has ever preoccupied themselves with justice and fairness for any other race upon the face of the earth? When has that ever taken place? You could see the hypocrisy in the man presentation, where and this confidence with them have when they can come in front of black people and telling you that them looking out for your interests. When you know damn well that man will never have your interest at heart. You come in here and lecture in Jamaica about the Cuban government and the Cuban people. And you come in here talking about exploitation in Cuba when you have deal with segregation and exploitation of all non-white people within the boundaries of the United States of America. And you come in here and get all this diplomatic treatment. You should be shunned. You should be cast out and cast off. But where the government going to say, they're going to say protocol. We have to afford and accord them a certain protocol. So even when the man come to kill you and exploit you and oppress you, you telling me you have to institute protocol to accommodate him. This is the mockery. The mockery. Just like how President Trump said, President Xi and China must call. Man, say, I call you. Who is you for call you? You must come on my foot. Me not come on your foot. Make them make a presentation like that to Jamaica and so quick and fast and in a hurry. Jamaica would have run go a chum foot. Them think there's mockery, man. Them think they belittle people. Them think they belittle a nation. And when we address, we are talking about the germ of life. The germ of life is that which gives you the ability to generate new ideas so you can conquer the world. Conquer anything that stands in your way. It's how you think. If you change the way how you think, you will see the problem from a different angle. It will not be the obstacle that it first presents itself to you, like it is unsolvable. Right? And I asked a question the other day on a platform. What is the duty of we as a people in Jamaica? What is the duty of the Rastafari brethren and sisters? It is to liberate the consciousness of the African race any and everywhere upon the face of the earth without any apology. That is our duty. We must feed the chain of struggle. We must produce great minds with great ideas and send them upon the battlefield. Not to sit down and lollygag and create no talk this and talk that and just sit down and talk all day. Them days are done. Now we say feed the battlefield with true warriors. Go out there, go fight. Because you know you cannot die. Because Rastafari cannot die. because Rastafari is embodied in the germ of life, which is the idea and the birth of life that sustains liberty for all times. And that's how we are go up on the battlefield and do it. So one thing we notice under force by time, we're dealing with the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary to free and liberate the mind. We're going to deal with the nanny of the Maroons International Studio so we can push out certain word, sound and power, generate certain financial base where we can take on and do other things. See, me personally, I'm in the state of mind now, I'm ready to make a trip to Africa. I had the opportunity before, I really kind of turn it down, but I feel ready for it now. See, there's a war being waged more open, because the war being waged against African for the last 2,500 years, you know, but it ebbs and flows within our mind. Sometimes we see it and sometimes we don't see it. But now it has come to the fore. All nations and all races and all people are fight for preeminence. Them are fight for put for them race and for them people on the top of this world. We are the only set of people around them that we are fight for everybody. But it was a beauty and a blessings to see the transitions are taking place in the United States of America, where the African people, the Black Americans, them realize, them come to this realization that there are certain things they must stand aside and look at, because there's a natural mystical blowing of the air. And that is what we must all throughout the Caribbean. That's why I say one time, you know, the tip of the spear of the struggle for the African race in America, you know, because them live closer to the enemy. The protagonist and the antagonist relationship between them and the enemy is an everyday, daily struggle. Those of us who live further from the center is the more we are looking through a deeper influence silhouette. We can't see too clear. So we get caught up in a little local nationalism and we look local parochial farmer thinking. But the people in America, the Black Americans, them they in the heart of the flame. Them have to deal with it on a daily basis. Them have to countenance the fangs of this devil. So we must draw a lot of our concept from how them design the battlefield. And stop making a little shallow, nondescript, parochial type of nationalism. Make we stop become a veil over our eyes. We must stop that. And that is what the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary is about. It's not about talking. It's not about giving a man a certain body and knowledge and talk about go and go live a Rasta life now and wait for go to heaven and wait for go to Zion. We don't have none of that. We are prepared great minds to go up on the battlefield. And this battlefield where we are create the mind and for go on, it has come out of an institution that was forged by time. Forged by a hard time of imprisonment. When man never have no time for go on a club late at night and a chase no woman and a indulge in altar, or you're forced to lock behind a door and think. For those who chose to do thinking over sleeping. So coming out here, coming upon the street, and engendering a body of knowledge from which we have just dealt with the chant and the germ of life. These are not shallow ideas. This is not a shallow process. So in closing out upon this, I would like to say the next one we are going to deal with, and that come up again under the germ of life, but this one I deal with humanity must pass through death and into the realm of life and light, and then unto a being of divine light who conquers all form of death, and to be a master of being born again. So that's how we are going to touch upon in the next lesson. So as you can see, brethren, the germ of life are what we discussed from the last lesson, yeah? So we just conclude before we move to the new one. And the next lesson again I deal with the germ of life, but from a different contextual perspective. But them all attach and join to each other. And once again, I like to tell the brethren and sisters, again, I'm asking for your support in my Forged by Time autobiography. And give me the support, because that's the way how I sustain myself. Right? And I have my hand in different things. I look forward to, before this year end close out, to establish the nanny of the Maroons International Studio. You know, and there's another part where we attach to the name, which is the more official name, but we want it to be known as the nanny of the Maroon International Recording Studio. I will give glorification where that glorification is due. So until then, brethren and sisters, one God, one aim, one destiny, peace, love, unity, and straighten your cranium, straighten up yourself. Know that you are oneness with a part of this world. The process of the divine intelligence. Everything plug into divine intelligence. Plug yourself into divine intelligence. Stop separating yourself into death by disconnecting yourself from divine intelligence, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowing that the body of knowledge that we are imparting to each other is to make us better equipped to engage in struggle. We don't just get up and talk and preach. We're done with all of that. And that is one of the reasons why when we reach out to the brethren and sisters and we hear the program and say, tell me which part in the world on there. Stay in contact. Tell me what we have. Me don't need a personal address or nothing like that. We just want to know that program, it will reach out. It will help shape the mind, the cadre set of mind in different parts of the world. So once again, brethren and sisters, thanks for engaging with this session number 6 of the Rastafari Promise Key Seminar. We're looking forward to session number 7 and session number 8 and many more to come. You understand? We are going to strengthen the cranium, strengthen the powers, and delve into deeper depth and breadth of that life-giving force. I know, like what I said earlier, Rastafari is not about not eating certain things, not doing certain things, getting a certain body of knowledge and say, me a Rasta now. No, this is a perpetual struggle. It have no end to it. When we overcome Babylon, we are going to delve deeper and deeper and deeper into the germ of life so we can keep generating more life-informing, more life-giving ideas. We just keep creating and creating a new existence for man, for the African race, so we can go back to our most preeminent position upon the face of the earth. And one more thing before me let go. The world is now bearing witness to the revelation of who are the true ancient Israelite upon the face of this earth. By some mystic revelation of Rastafari, the knowledge that was locked behind certain door, light is coming to it now. There is certain partial acknowledgement be given for making you know, say, we are the descendants and the people of ancient Israel. And it's going to open up a whole new conundrum for us the more this knowledge will come out, you know. Because we as a people going to reach a point where we're going to have to come to the determination. Do we go forward and regraft ourselves onto that body of knowledge since we are it biologically? But do we go back and reconnect ourselves to that knowledge academically and spiritually? That is to be determined. And I have my own personal opinion upon that. Because I already know, say, it's Rastafari doctrinally is of that ancient Israel doctrine and more, because we are more than that. And whereas our ancestors have developed a body of knowledge within even the Israelite community, and then it gets sealed within a cover, we are going to bust the cover there. We are going to bust the book there loose. And also bring in our experience far beyond the 2,500 years going back in time. but also within our time of our personal trials and tribulation in Babylon within this contemporary time. We will not separate our experience from anybody of knowledge that we give acknowledgement to. So say Rastafari, so it shall be done. Remember me telling you that. See? Peace, love, and unity. Respect until next time, brethren and sisters. And keep the support coming. Keep the support coming. Blessings, blessings.
Behind me, you see them?
And them usually just come when they come and tell us, say, yeah, we don't see them.
No, I'm not asking you.
No, no.